There are different types of V8 engines. At one extreme is the American old-school lower shaft, heavy-duty engines for large pickups and SUVs with a monstrous traction at the bottom. At the opposite and infinitely distant end are the evil, torsional V8s and their outstanding owners. Atmospheric or turbocharged engines are completely unimportant in this case. Ford Voodoo Red Zone 8,250 RPM. Does the phrase, "track Mustang," grate on your ears? It's time to expand your consciousness. History knows many successful attempts to distance the pony car from its usual drag hooligan role and turn it into a serious weapon for intense turns. For example, the Boss 302, based on the 5th generation, gave such heat that the vaunted BMW M3 had to blush on the sidelines. And we are now talking about a coupe with a rear axle beam. The Shelby GT350. It was concocted from the previous iteration of the Mustang with rear independent suspension, is also in good shape. It has chassis, brake and aerodynamic upgrades, Recaro sport seats, and uncontested 6-speed mechanics, Tremec, and something else. A surprising, completely atypical V8 Voodoo model in honor of the cults of West African and Caribbean countries. For ordinary people, voodoo is associated with magic, sinister rituals, sacrifices, entering a trance, and the immortal voodoo prodigy. Voodoo people, magic people. The 5.2 engine, based on the 5-liter Coyote, fits this image perfectly. It also works wonders, albeit without decapitating chickens and piercing dolls with needles. Unexpected features: a flat crankshaft. Like naturally aspirated Ferrari and Lotus, all crankshafts lie in the same plane, and high boost without the use of a turbocharger or supercharger. Voodoo develops 533 horsepower and is considered the most powerful naturally aspirated Ford unit among serial ones. According to measurements, acceleration to 97 km/h 60 mph takes 4.2 seconds. BMW S65 Red Zone 8,400 RPM. The history of the BMW M3 in terms of engine engineering is a constant search for itself and the pursuit of perfection. Initially, the sports car was equipped with 4s and soon switched to inline 6s. In the 4th generation, E90, E92, E93, the uncompromising nature called for something fundamentally new, namely, the 420 horsepower S65 B40 thresher with a volume of 4.0 liters with the variable valve timing system and individual throttle valves. It is so cool that it won the International Engine of the Year competition in the category from 3.0 to 4.0 liters from 2008 to 2012 in a row. In general, the 90th series is a unique phenomenon in the context of the evolution of the M3. Since only it can trump the V8. Thanks to its high-revving concept, the unit carries the DNA of the current Formula One engine of the BMW Sauber F1 team. The company explained its origin. Let us recall that the next family of M-Max switched to 6 cylinders in a row with supercharging and continues to draw motivation from them to this day. The standard S65, there is also a 4.4-liter S65 B44. Which was stuffed into the M3 GTS's, roughly speaking, a cut-down 5.0-liter V10 from the legendary BMW M5 E60 E61. Their cylinder diameter and piston stroke are identical, 92 mm and 75.2 mm respectively. With a 6-speed manual, there is more involvement in the control process and a sharper emotion. But the sports car with the 7-speed pre-selective robot is simply faster. It takes 4.6 seconds to accelerate to 100 km/h. McLaren M838T Red Zone 8,500 RPM. A38 is a superhero with an amazing pedigree. It is not made from scratch and has excellent genetics. The starting point was the 8-cylinder twin-turbo Nissan Verse 35L, the fruit of joint creativity of the Japanese and the Tom Walkinshaw Racing Center for the Le Mans R390 GT1. Alas, the Nissan did not even come close to winning the 24-hour marathon, but the engine remained. McLaren bought the rights from called in specialists from the Ricardo company for help, and off we went. The M838T debuted in 600 horsepower specification in the MP412C coupe, although output subsequently varied depending on the model. Thanks to the combination of a flat plane crankshaft and two Mitsubishi turbochargers, it revs well, but is also remarkably flexible. 80% of the thrust is ready to fulfill the pilot's dark fantasies at just 2,000 revolutions per minute. The most impressive M838T carrier? Without a doubt, the P1 hybrid from the so-called Holy Trinity of hypercars, which also included the Porsche 918 Spider and Ferrari LaFerrari. The fierce rivals are confronted by a tandem of a V8 737 hph and a 179 HP electric motor, in total 916 horsepowers. There was also the amazing P1 LM from Lanzanti Motorsport, converted from a track-ready P1 GTR for public roads, and with a license to kill famous hypercars. It's not just about legalizing a racing tool. It's more complicated and cooler. The studio did not hesitate to significantly improve the already perfect 1,000 horsepower GTR with a more functional plumage and a weight reduced by half a ton. The working volume has been increased to 4 liters. The red zone is still 8,500 RPM. The new wing and front splitter create 40% more downforce, and the weight has been reduced by another 60 kilograms. Peak power has not changed. But if McLaren did not disclose the characteristics of the internal combustion engine and electric motor of the P1 GTR separately, then here at least there is some specificity. 800 horsepower is obtained from the V8, 200 horsepower is due to the add-on Chevrolet LT6 Redline 8,600 RPM first half of the 2020s. The electric era is already on the doorstep, and turbochargers have long been bolted to TVs, mobile phones, and Jack Russell Terriers. And then Chevrolet broke through. Instead of being like everyone else, it built a V8, 5 and 5, according to the best old Ferrari recipes. The key ingredients are 4 overhead camshafts, a dry sump lubrication system, a flat crankshaft, forged pistons, and titanium connecting rods. In terms of boost level, 670 horsepower, right under the red line, the LT6 whistles past Ford's Voodoo. Even the 631 horsepower Mercedes-Benz M159 from the SLS AMG Black Series Grand Tourer, the most powerful naturally aspirated V8 in the world, was left behind. The engine is in the Corvette Z06 supercar, which is unusual. Throughout its history, the modification was equipped with naturally aspirated or supercharged lower shaft V8s. And suddenly the rejection of the classic layout in favor of a mid-engine on the current 8th iteration has reset the previous rules and conventions. Now, the Z06 is rightfully worthy of the nickname American Ferrari. The Z06 is more than just the epical LT6. The body is widened by 3.7 inches over the regular Corvette Stingray to accommodate a 13.5-inch wide rear tire and allow more air to flow through the side ducts. The suspension calibrations have been adjusted. Deceleration is controlled by Brembo 6-piston front brakes with 4.5-inch rotors, and lightweight carbon fiber wheels are available. Ferrari F136 Redline, 9,000 RPM. Most of the8s in our hit parade are exclusive to one or more special models. With the F136, it's a different story. Behind the markings is a huge clan of 2001 to 2020 production years. Lift the hood of various Ferraris, Maseratis, and even an Alfa Romeo 8C Competizione or Spider. Everywhere your gaze will fall on scarlet valve covers and a fantastically beautiful intake manifold. The F136 doesn't just look like a masterpiece of modern art. It is one. Check out the most powerful road specification, F136F, on the Ferrari 458 Speciale or Speciale. Yes, these are the ones that enthusiasts consider to be some of the best cars from Maranello. The working volume is 4.5 liters. The output is 605 horsepower. Among the nuances are direct fuel injection, a lubrication system with a dry sump, and an ultra-high compression ratio of 14:1, the highest value for naturally aspirated V8s at the time of the birth of the Speciale in 2013. The boost level of 135 horsepower per liter is also a record for naturally aspirated units. Porsche M1 8.00 Red Zone 9150 RPM. Second place in the torque rating goes to the honorary member of the 2010's Petrol-Electric Hypercar Club, and the fruit of true engineering genius. The most important element of the composition is the V8, which has its roots in the 3.4-liter 8 of the RS Spider LMP2 prototype Le Mans Prototype 2. The cylinder diameter has not changed 95, but the piston stroke has been increased to 81 mm. Accordingly, the working volume has reached 4.6 liters. The M1 8.00 produces 608 horsepower at 8,700 revolutions per minute without any turbochargers. The traction is transmitted to the rear axle via a 7-speed pre-selective robot PDAK with 2 clutches. The electric part of the system, rechargeable from an external source, is represented by a motor on each axle and a traction battery with the capacity 6.8 Qh. In the environmentally friendly e-power mode, the Spider travels 16-32 km at speeds up to 150 km/h and reaches 100 in about 7 seconds. Want to play like an adult? Then peak 887 horsepower and acceleration to 100 km/h in 2.6 seconds are at your service. There's no joking around in a drag race with the Porsche 918 Spider. But what is a sprint from a standing start for a miracle of technology? Child's play, like a routine takeoff for a fighter jet. The results on the racetrack speak much more eloquently about the potential of the hybrid system and sophisticated all-wheel steering chassis. For example, 6 minutes 57 seconds on the Nürburgring, once a record for serial production. The achievement was recorded on the Spider with the Weissach package. It includes magnesium wheels, an enlarged carbon fiber diffuser, and various diet tricks. The weight is reduced by 41 kilograms. Ariel Atom 500 redline 10,600 RPM first line, and such intrigue. We know that reality does not meet expectations, since the leader of the rating is not a supercar of a world-famous brand, but a symbiosis of a Formula and a Ducati motorcycle from a dwarf British company. Two-wheeled associations are caused by the power structure in the spirit of a birdcage frame and the maximum, or rather, extreme revolutions of the 3-liter from Hartley Enterprises from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. By the way, Harley-Davidson is a neighbor. The unit is built, so to speak, according to Feng Shui: a dry crankcase, a flat crankshaft, 8 individual throttle valves, forged pistons. 500 horsepower is especially impressive given the power-to-weight ratio. The weight of the Extreme Atom is slightly more than half a ton. You can calculate the power-to-weight ratio yourself and go into ecstasy. The sprint to 100 km/h in just over 2 seconds casts a dark veil over the eyes and consciousness. In any unclear situation, the spirited megacart tends to stick out sideways, but in skilled hands, it works wonders not only on a straight line. Confirmation of this is 1 minute 15.1 seconds on the Top Gear track. The result is at the level of the Dodge Viper ACR with completely different aerodynamics.